Well, they were 13-3 last year before losing to the Buckeyes. One of the reasons I love the college football playoff is that you can play big games early, and even if you lose 35-30, it's okay. You can grow as a team. You don't have to go undefeated the rest of the way to play for the college football national championship. The Buckeyes last year lost as a 20-point favorite at home after losing to Oregon and Autzen, and they still made it. That's why I love Texas and Ohio State playing. My buddy Sark's joining us, coach of the Horns, Texas Longhorns, who I have playing in the national championship this year against Penn State. The two best teams, I think, are Penn State and you guys. I want you to go back, Sark, to your USC days, your Washington days, the Alabama days, and now at Texas. This is a lot to chew on in week one. Road game, Ohio State. You guys, Pete Carroll and you guys, you played some tough games early. Go back in your career. Is there anything that reminds you of this kind of game as an opener?
As an opener? No, the only one I could think of, Colin, is when we went to Auburn. I want to say that was 2002. And it was Leinert's first career start. Reggie and Lindell were true freshmen, and we went into Auburn, and they were pretty highly ranked team. But I don't know of anybody going on the road playing the defending national champions after having played them in the semifinals. They ended our season last year, and then we turn around and open with them this year. It's going to be a heck of a game. But that's you just touched on it. That's the beauty of this format now, that you can afford to play these games. It's great for the fans. It's great for college football. Everybody's talking about it. And I was jokingly saying, it's so different than the NFL. Nobody's talking about week one matchups in the NFL. Everybody's talking about this game. And the idea that I don't think either of us get punished playing this game. Obviously, we both need to play well throughout the entirety of the season. But sure, it's what a spotlight it puts on both programs and as well as college football.
Yeah, and also it's a litmus test. You'll know a lot about your team that you wouldn't know if you played a lesser opponent. So here's what I worry about: 4 new offensive line starters. Now this is a position you have recruited very, very well. And Arch Manning, I bet, just like Dad and Eli and Archie, is good at the line of scrimmage. He'll get that ball away quickly. But it does to go on the road. Sark, you know this better than anybody. The O-line. You don't have a preseason. These are 19, 20-year-old guys. That is a cohesion chemistry unit, not just a talent unit. Are you concerned 4 new starters on the road? Not the Arch thing. That's fine. But you don't have an exhibition game to start. That's a lot to ask. Does it worry you?
Well, I think that's why training camp is going to be so important. And, the beauty for the offensive line is they have to compete against our defensive front every day. And I think we've got one of the premier defensive fronts in the country. They're very talented players, but also a really good scheme, a difficult scheme. But to your point, them all playing together as one is going to be critical. And Arch does play a part in that. We're fortunate DJ Campbell's a returning starter. Cole Hudson rotated with DJ, played a bunch of football. Trevor Gooseby, really at the end of the season, he was playing against all sorts of high caliber opponents, from Georgia to Texas A&M to Clemson. So he got a lot of experience at tackle, but there'll be a couple new faces in there. And I do think that's going to be one of the keys for us in the ball game is I don't want to say protecting them, but putting them in really good positions so that they can go out and execute and play as a unit.
So Jeremiah Smith is on a short list of the most talented college football players I've ever seen. Reggie Bush, I can remember seeing him as a sophomore and thinking, oh, he could probably play in the NFL right now. Javon Curse was kind of like that. When you play a guy like Jeremiah Smith, do you bracket him? Do you double him? Do you trust your corners? He is so physically strong that it's one of those. You contain him. What is a game plan? Is there a perfect one? Do you just mix coverages?
It's interesting. I had a chance to coach Julio Jones for 2 years in Atlanta. Reminds me a lot of him. So big and physical, but yet fast. Cover ground, so strong at the point of attack when the ball's in the air. You see the just the ability to make contested catches. And I do think at the end of the day, that's where your attention needs to be. But hey, they got really good coaches. He's going to be moving around. He's not going to be lining up in one position all the time. Ideally, you've got multiple people with eyes on him and guarding him. But you still have to play great team defense, and you got to have the ability to stop the run, and you got to cover the two other wideouts they have, who are two really good players too. So I do think a multitude of things that you can do well, but you better know where number 4 is at all times.
Live Golf heads to the JCB Golf and Country Club July 25 through the 28, one of the world's best new courses. The venue will have its own home team, Majestics GC, featuring Ryder Cup legends Ian Poulter and Lee Westwood. So this is the last event before the season enters its final stretch. So there's only 3 events to go after this one, and it's tight at the top of both leaderboards. So in the individual stakes, Joaquin Niemann leads John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau. The field features a total of 14 major champions, 16 Ryder Cup stars, including Rahm, DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. It is an all-star loaded field. If you want to catch any or all of the drama from the JCB Golf and Country Club, follow Every Shot live on Fox Sports.
So it's interesting when you get quarterbacks that I've always kind of felt like ideally, I was talking to an NFL GM about this. He goes, I'm not really hiring coaches. I'm hiring CEOs. A coach should be a CEO. I don't want him on the headset constantly. Now at college, it feels a little bit different, but you are a CEO at Texas. You have a great athletic director, but I mean, NIL, transfer portal, building a staff, players. So how much, I know it's Arch's biggest start yet. How much freedom does he get at the line of scrimmage in the opener?
Well, I mean, there's going to be some, and we're still formulating that game plan. That thing is nowhere near set in stone. And we're going against a really good defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, which I don't think people are talking a whole lot about. Here's a guy who's been an elite defensive coordinator at the NFL level and worked under Coach Belichick's been a head coach with the Detroit Lions. And so that poses its own challenges too. There's not a lot of tape, no tape of him coaching in college football. And so putting a plan together that we feel good about also gives Arch a little bit of freedom to get us in and out of some things that, as looks present themselves in the game because there's so many unknowns. I think is going to be critical, and he's more than capable of doing that. The guy's been raised watching tape with Eli and Peyton and his dad and his grandpa and everybody. So we're going to feel good about that. And he's got great composure, and he's been in some fires with us already. So we'll feel good about it. Do we want to major in him having to audible on the road? That's a difficult thing to do, but we're going to give him some opportunities to do those things, especially at some critical moments.
So I was thinking about this. I talked to Urban Meyer about this, is that NIL's tricky. Lincoln Riley's done a lot. Brian Kelly's done a lot. Deion Sanders has done a lot. And I would argue those 3, there's value to it, but it is hard to create culture and chemistry when you're bringing in a player and paying him 3 times what you're paying a third-year starter. Like, in the NFL, everybody understands there's the salary cap and there's certain guys that get it, and it's the quarterback. In college, I think the NIL, I'm for it. But there is a danger in the transfer portal not screwing up chemistry. Where do you land on, have there been guys that you really like, but you're like, you know what, man, I'm not going to pay this receiver that and bring him into our room? Like, is that something you have to think a lot about with the NIL?
For sure. I think you hit the nail on the head. It happened this offseason. We ended up not going on a player because I didn't feel comfortable about what he would have what it would have cost us to get him in comparison to other players on that side of the ball. And we love our culture, and we've exhausted ourselves in building the culture here at the University of Texas. And it's really good. And we're navigating the NIL space, I think, is good or better than anybody. I think there's a lot of respect in our locker room. We believe in this is a production-based industry, right? How you perform ultimately is how you get compensated. And so I think our players understand that. And so when you bring somebody in from the outside that all of a sudden is making more than everybody else, I think that's when you can run into some problems. And so you got to make those decisions because we're a really good football team. That's the beauty of our sport. I think teams win championships, not just a bunch of talented individuals. And we've got a really good team. And I'm very cautious to do anything to cause any type of feud or disruption to that what we have going right now.
Finally, what is Arch Manning's best trait? something that you didn't even have to coach. It's just intuitive. There is something he just did well the minute he got on campus.
Work ethic. His work ethic is incredible. Whether it's, studying tape, studying film, studying the playbook, working at his craft, in the weight room, like that is, whether it's innate in him or it was, handed down from his uncles, whatever it was, his work ethic is really pretty incredible. And that lends itself to the teammate that he is too. And again, that's not to take away the arm talent, the deep ball, the athleticism, all that. I think all those things are a byproduct of how hard he works at his craft and how hard he works at being a great teammate. Those things I've never had to coach him on. That he walked in the door, was a great teammate, and has worked his tail off from day one.
You're a coach. You could do TV. You did a little TV, but in the end, you're a coach. You just love coaching. You're an X's and O's guy, one of the smarter guys I've ever met that does that. And I watch Nick Saban on TV, and I think, oh, he's such a coach. Nick's such a coach. I don't think he's coming back to college. Let me ask you, if somebody in the NFL called him, maybe the team that got Arch Manning or got a great quarterback, do you think Nick Saban would take the call? You know him. You know him well.
You already have him in Cleveland. I heard you yesterday. You already have him in Cleveland. He's coaching Arch. I only have Arch for 1 year. Shoot, I thought I was going to have him for 2. I don't know. Hey, he is a great coach, and I loved my time working for Nick. I mean, he really is a fantastic coach. I think he feels really comfortable to me. He's really good on TV. I think he enjoys what he gets to do. He's playing a ton of golf, which he loves doing. I'm sure, Miss Terry loves having him at home. So I don't know, that's obviously a personal thing as he grows. I know he's one of, if not the most competitive person I've ever been around. So I'm sure those competitive juices get flowing pretty good. But man, he looks like he's having a lot of fun doing television. He looks relaxed, and he's great for our sport. I know people are love tuning in to hear his insight on all the stuff.
Yeah, it was just speculation on my part. That's what I do, Steve. Great seeing you.
You too, man. You too.